Hi, welcome along. Today, the 24th of June, 2022, is a very special day for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it is my youngest child's 6th birthday today. It's a school day, so he's gone off to school. But yeah, that's a really special time. I often think that birthdays are a wonderful time, not only for the children, but for the adults as well, to be able to reflect on their journey in parenting and, what was happening 6 years ago today. It's really nice that people are able to bear you in mind and reflect upon you and your journey in this little world of ours. So yeah, I always think really fondly of my children's first moments and early years on their birthday. It can feel like a real privilege to watch them grow and to be able to reflect with them. Now they're grown and can talk as well. I like the stories about, when they came into this world. So if you're a parent, don't forget to let your kids know that you've borne witness to them and enjoyed them along the journey, because they really like hearing that. And I think the same is true for people who are no longer with us. If you know that someone is grieving or missing someone, it's always okay to tell them stories about that person that you knew and that they knew. And that can be a really lovely way of honouring the memory of the person that has died. So don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people who might be grieving or mourning. And don't be afraid to mention, memories and people's names of people who've passed. Anyway, that's an aside. What was I going to talk to you about today other than birthdays and grief? Apparently, I was going to talk to you about something else that happened 6 months ago today. 6 months ago was Christmas Eve, so it might be a little bit more frantic. It was certainly a bit chillier. But yeah, 6 months ago was when the first 3 episodes of The Aspiring Psychologist were launched into the world. And I was like, oh, what's going to happen? What are people going to think of it? Well, there have been almost 8,500 downloads since that day. We are currently at episode 28. It has been delivered at 6 a.m. every Monday since Christmas Eve. And it's just been the loveliest project to be part of and put together. And there's no plans to stop it yet. Maybe even ever, we're just going to keep going. There's always new stuff to say to support and encourage aspiring psychologists and to guide them through this very tricky path. So yeah, we've got I believe it's episode 29, dropping Monday at 6 a.m. We've had a real variety of episodes. There's been, how to embrace and encourage compassion as an aspiring psychologist. The most popular episode so far has been on how to optimally prepare for interviews as an aspiring psychologist. The second most popular, and the one that I've had the most direct comments on, was filmed with Dr. Lucy Johnston, who has written a number of books, but most recently the Power and Threat Meaning Framework, which is like an or an alternative, I should say, to traditional psychiatric diagnoses, and considers the impact of diagnoses on individuals, really, and whether it's always a useful, helpful thing to do to someone, because it can feel like diagnoses are done to people. Yeah, that's the 2 most popular so far. But there's a real medley in there. There's how to get into research. There's the impact of, being a parent whilst training, whether the advantages and the disadvantages. That's with Rose Dunstan, who's a trainee. There's Professor Amy Brown, and we're talking about birth and feeding trauma and getting into academia and getting some research done as well, because she's a very prolific author and researcher. There's just been, I've had lots of lovely chats with really inspiring people. So there's plenty in there. And bearing in mind, there's 28 episodes so far. What could you catch up on? Have you got time over the weekend? The episodes range in length from 20 minutes to about 40 minutes at their longest. But yeah, today is a special day. I feel really proud, actually, and if you do enjoy the podcast or have enjoyed it in the past, come back in. Come back in. There's always time. And if you do enjoy it, I would really welcome any reviews that you might be willing to leave me via the Apple podcast platform. And you can do that by opening up your podcast app, finding the Aspiring Psychologist podcast show, scrolling down a little bit until you get to the rate and review section, which is just above the trailer, I think. So yeah, I'd be really, really grateful if you could spend a couple of minutes doing that. And if you can download some more. I was hoping we might reach 10,000 downloads by today, but I think that was a little bit of a big task. So I'm very excited to let this grow, let this run, and when we get to 10,000 I will let you know. But thank you so much for being part of my world. I hope you find the content super useful, and yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing you many, many, many more episodes of the Aspiring Psychologist podcast. And don't forget, if you are an aspiring psychologist, it's a great place to be within the Aspiring Psychologist membership, and applications you can dive in from the 1st of July, but only if you're on the waiting list. So get involved, get yourself on that waiting list today, and then you can dive in at 8 a.m. when the Aspiring Psychologist membership opens again for just 15 people. What is not to like? Thank you for being part of my world. I'll look forward to catching up with you very soon. Take care.